Hignett corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal! And Rovers have taken the lead! And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to On the Other Side, sadly, our final edition of this season. With me, Ryan Hildred from Rovers Chat. Last time out, it was another disappointing draw for Rovers. After a largely dominant performance away at Rotherham United, most fans are probably ready for the end of the season now with our final game at home to Birmingham City for the 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. And I'm delighted to be joined by Blues fan James Jenkinson for his return appearance on the show tonight. How are you tonight, James?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm a lot better now than I was 6 weeks ago, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was not looking good for Birmingham at one stage, but a good recent run of form, and you're out of that relegation reckoning and can go above Rovers tomorrow with a victory. So incentive for both sides, I think, tomorrow, even with an end of the season game right there. But yeah, we look forward to chatting to you, James. Rovers fans joining us, if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit that bell symbol to turn on all notifications to get the subscriptions for when all our video content goes live. And of course, give this video a big like, and all of our other videos a like across the channel as well. Super Chat is available as it always is. And tonight, because it's the last show, we do have a little competition. So I'll just bring up the graphic. You can win an iFollow code for tomorrow's match. So simply tweet us a photo with you watching James and I on this On the Other Side show, and we'll pick one person to win the code at the end of the show. So it's going to be very live. So you got to do it before the end. I'm going to be telling Dan by the end of the show that, here we go, signal the end, pick a winner for me. We will announce that before the show is over. So tweet at RoversChat_ with a DM with your photo of you watching the game, and you could be in for winning that iFollow code for tomorrow's match. But as we always say on our shows, just before we get started, we are sponsored by Blue Rose Capital, and we are sponsored by 𝒑𝒆𝒔𝒆𝒑.com. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝒑𝒆𝒔𝒆𝒑.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below. Well, thank you to our two sponsors, Blue Rose Capital and 𝒑𝒆𝒔𝒆𝒑.com. And 𝒒𝐿 has raised the bar, everyone. He's entered, so don't let him be the only one to enter. So get yourself in for that competition, and we'll pick that winner at the end of the show. Right, so let's get cracking with this preview then, James. I probably just need to start off by offering Blues fans a bit of an apology, I think. I had you as my dark horses for the season with some of the signings that you'd made and a decent manager in 𝒕𝒕𝒂𝒏. Obviously not panned out like that. So if we just start with 𝒕𝒂𝒏, you know, where did it go wrong for him at Blues?
Where did it go right? I'll be absolutely honest. I think expectations were high. As was a lot of fans' opinion was the same as yours. You tend not to try and get ahead of yourself really going into the season, but you can sense when there's optimism. You can sense when there's a good feeling about the place, and there certainly was. The recruitment was again littered with good names and some players with good potential and plenty of championship pedigree, and a manager who's been there, done it, and he's got the t-shirt, and all things look set up for one of those seasons where there's going to be progression, and it just didn't work out like that. I think where things went wrong, I think maybe his tactics were the starting point. I think he was overly cautious. I think you can be cautious, you can go in and try and be solid, but we had some games where we wouldn't leave our half, and that's no exaggeration. There was counter-attacking, and then there was seriously just defending on your 6-yard line, and that really started to get fans backs up, and then I think there was certain comments made in in interviews. There was players that he alienated, 𝒐𝐿𝐻𝐿 being the main one, someone of his stature at the club. I think being alienated, I think really set the cat amongst the pigeons within the squad as well. And then it really just deteriorated from there, as once the squad's turned against the manager, or the feeling's bad, things just never seem to go right until the change is made. So I think a change was required, and it was disappointing the way a tenure turned out.
Yeah, it was. And we'll come on to Lee Bowyer in a moment, who's obviously manager now. But I just want to focus on the players that you spoke about there, and obviously the championship pedigree that they've got. The list of signings this season has been pretty decent. Scott Hogan, George Friend, John Terrell, Neil Etheridge, Adam Clayton. These are all experienced championship level players who seem to bolster the squad that you had. So have you seen the quality you need from players like this, or really are your failures this season or up until March really pinned on Aitor Karanka?
Yeah, I think the recruitment, looking at it now, a lot of the players, I say a lot, we've seen from the players that you mentioned there, especially Etheridge. I think he's got 12 clean sheets still this season for a team that was in and around the bottom three for most of the season. That's still pretty good going, 1-4 record. Scott Hogan, has been in and out with injury, but still managed, I think, 8 goals this season. So it's not a terrible return. And other than a few players like Adam Clayton, where it's really not worked out, George Friend's been a solid addition when he's played. You can start to see, especially when they play under Bowyer, for example, the stark difference between the way they played under Karanka and the way they played under Bowyer. You can really see the quality shine under a good manager, and that's what we're getting from them. So yeah, I think once the manager had come in, the new manager, and started to use these players, you started to really pin the blame on the previous regime, because I think that was the real turning point.
Yeah, and obviously Karanka ultimately paid for his job with a poor run of form right in the middle part of the season, quite close to where Rovers' run of form has actually been as well. 3 wins in 19 games between December and March, and a record of just 3 home wins until he was sacked, Karanka. Lee Bowyer's come in and the form's picked up hugely. 5 wins in his 9 games in charge, including 3 wins at home. That does better Karanka's season record. So what's Bowyer done, and why this upturn in form?
He's just gone back to basics. I think it's a bit of a cliche that is amongst our fan base, but we've never been a pretty football team. We've always been a roll your sleeves up, do the hard yards, do the dirty work, and grind out results. We've can be a bit sad to say sometimes, but really it is our way of getting things done. It's really effective for us. And he's gone back to basics. At the start, he went back to a 4-4-2 instead of a 4-2-3-1 or a 5-3-2 or whatever Karanka used to play at times. And he just wanted it really simple. Just defend solid, 2 banks of 4 and a bank of 2. Get the ball wide and put the ball into the box, and let's cause problems. Get 𝒐𝐿𝐻𝐿 in the air, get the knockdowns, the second balls for Hogan or for 𝒐𝐿𝐻𝐿, or whoever was playing up front alongside him. And it worked. We've seen 𝒐𝐿𝐻𝐿 over the last 3 years. I think he's almost hit 15 in each of his last 3 seasons, apart from this one. He's the best target man in the championship if you put the right service into him. And Bowyer's come in, and that's pretty much been his focal point. Put the ball in the box on his head, and he will score you goals, and that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, definitely. And with Bowyer at the helm now, what are Blues fans hoping for next season? Obviously, expectation levels were high before this season, and you've got your fingers burnt a little bit, as have Rovers, actually, to be fair. The recent form's obviously taken you out of that relegation battle once and for all. So are you hoping for something better next season under Bowyer, or is it just a season of transition, slow build, etc., etc.?
Yeah, it needs to be slow build. It really needs to be that transition into laying the foundations. I think he's tried to do that this season, and he will do that again, in the early parts of next season. I don't expect too many changes across the summer. A lot of dead wood to leave, and maybe 1 or 2 bits of quality to come in where we've lacked this season, maybe going forward. But again, you can't get too ahead of yourself, can you? Some may say it's the new manager bounce. I think that came and went, and we were still getting results. So I don't think it's down to that. I think he's really getting a tune out of the key players. And he's got a good squad. We look at some of the players we have in and amongst our squad. get overlooked. We've got players like Ivan Sanchez has come in. He's been a fantastic signing. Alan Halilovic come in the mid part of the season. Unbelievable player when we can keep him fit. He's got the best target man in the league. He's got Scott Hogan. He's got Jonathan Lecco. He spent £2 million on a forward in Sam Cosgrove in January. He's got the base there of a good squad. He just needs to add little bits of quality here and there. So if I'd take a nice boring mid-table sort of 14th, 13th next season. As long as we keep away from that relegation scrap all season, that for me personally would be a sign of progress.
Definitely, and he's laid a good foundation there with this kind of 9-game spell before the start of the season. And I tell you, Rovers fans will tell you as well, James, our manager's obviously under a bit of pressure, under some significant pressure. We were all calling for, if you get rid in the international break, give them the chance to eyeball the squad, you can then go again next season. I think Birmingham City might actually see this as a really successful move that they've done there. Get rid of Karanka, let Bowyer eyeball it, and I think you should have a better season next season. So let's see how Birmingham do, with the approach that they've taken. So really interested to see how you do next season. So if we move on then, James, I do this every week with all the fans that we have. It's just a bit of the form over the season, just across various metrics. And this is the Blues' championship ranking away from home. Obviously, for a team that has been in that lower half of the table, unsurprisingly, some of those metrics are pretty low. And actually, we've just shown the away goals there. Across the whole season, it's actually 35 home and away, which is the second worst in the division, only to Derby. Passing accuracy, possession, lower down in the division too. So have you seen any improvement on the attacking style under Bowyer?
Yes and no. I think that we're playing, again, like I say, I know I've said this numerous times already. We're just playing to our strengths. We know where we're good at. We're doing it simple. We're playing with 2 strikers instead of 1 now. So, like you say, it doubles the attacking output that you do have. I guess we're taking more risks. We're really trying to get the ball forward as quick as possible. We're trying more shots from outside the box. Something that we weren't doing under Karanka. We were trying to pass the ball into the net at times, and that became quite frustrating. So, on that sense, yes, but at the same time, we rarely win games by more than 1 or 2 goals. I think it's a rarity that we do. So in that sense, we also rely heavily on our defensive side of our game still, because I think, in terms of goals scored this season, as you can see by the metrics, really, really poor for a lot of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And with that run of form under Karanka and stuff, no surprise with those stats. Another thing I do every week, as Rovers fans will know, is just to look at the star performers and the key performers across the season. Scott Hogan and Łukasz Jukiewicz there, both tied as the top goal scorers with 7 goals. So I just want to take those in turn. So you've spoken a lot about Jukiewicz there, James, and how important he has been to Birmingham. Am I right in saying that he's out of contract in the summer? Am I right in saying that?
No, actually, I think he was due to be this summer, but he has been given a new 3-year deal, Jukiewicz. However, there's a lot of mystery surrounding that one because it was never announced. We heard nothing on it, and it came from our local Birmingham Mail reporter that he had been given a new 3-year deal while Aitor Karanka was still in charge, but still the club's made no comment on it. But we're under the impression that he's here for another 3 years. So if he was out of contract, I think it would be the biggest mistake that the club could have made in the last 10, 15 years, to be honest, letting that one go.
Yeah, and certainly Rovers fans are expecting us to lose Adam Armstrong and the likes of Jukiewicz and Jeju and strikers like that who are out of contract in the summer or were to be out of contract in the summer. We were looking at strikers like that. Just talk to us a little more about Jukiewicz then, if he's staying, if he's going. You've obviously spoken about how important he is in terms of being a target man, but you also said something, James, just a moment ago that off the pitch and what he represents for the club, how important is he for Birmingham City?
Yeah, massive. He's almost he's got the name Mr. Birmingham City at the minute now. I think he represents a lot of what the club wants. His commitment off the pitch is second to none. Even when he's not in the team, you can see his leadership off the pitch, what he brings to the training ground, the atmosphere, the leadership, the the encouragement to the young players. Jude Bellingham has spoken so highly of him since leaving for Dortmund. He's like a father figure around the place, and he's not yet in his late years. He's only 30, 31. So he's just hitting the edge of his peak now. But he certainly brings a lot off the field, in terms of his character. And that's, I think, again, can't be overestimated. It can't be overlooked, just what he can bring to us off the pitch.
Yeah, you need players with huge character at this level, definitely. And I think it's where Rovers have struggled at times this season. Our experienced campaigners, the likes of Elliot Bennett, hasn't been playing much this season. Charlie Mulgrew's been out on loan. We lost Richie Smallwood. We lost Danny Graham. I think Rovers have struggled with that a little bit. So you absolutely need those players. The other one, James, obviously Scott Hogan, who has been deadly at this level before, but not quite hitting those heights just yet for Birmingham. So what sort of player have you seen Scott Hogan be for you? What's the verdict on him?
Yeah, he's very, very popular amongst the fan base, to be honest. When we bought him in last January on loan, I think he hit 7 goals in 8 games in his first 8, and we saw that lethal Championship striker who is a 15, 20 goal a season forward. He was everything he touched. He was going in. Pandemic hit, and he just fell off the face of the earth. But I think the club itself struggled after the pandemic. I think we only won 1 game. I don't think we won a game after lockdown into the end of the season. So everybody struggled. And then going into this season, again, 7 goals. He's done that in a struggling 𝒂𝐻𝐻𝒂𝐄 Crank team, playing as a 1 up front. He doesn't often do that. He thrives really off a 2. He's a very, very good forward, very quick, very pacey, very tricky, presses well. Lovely finish if you get him anywhere around the box. The issue is, like I say, we just haven't given him the supply this season. I think if he was to be given the supply that maybe Adam Armstrong gets or other forwards at Blackburn, I think he's certainly a striker that can hit 15 goals. I said it at the start of the season, and had he not hit injuries and we not struggled for firepower up front, then I certainly think he'd be in and around those figures.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a clinical striker at this level, that's for sure. Assist-wise then, James, Ivan Sanchez is the one who heads up the stats assist-wise. And I must admit, I've not seen much of him this season. So talk to us about what he brings to Blues. What are his strengths? What does he bring to the side?
Sanchez is an incredibly tricky wide player. Tends to play out on the right-hand side, but cuts in. He's very left-footed, very one-footed. He's probably his biggest downfall. But a very, very talented footballer from set pieces, dead ball situations. He's got a wicked delivery, always on the money. And his crossing for 𝐂𝐻𝐻𝒂𝐄 has been absolutely fantastic. You only have to look at the Derby game where we come from 1 goal behind to win. His deliveries pretty much has supplied most of 𝐂𝐻𝐻𝒂𝐄's headers since Boga's come in. His work rate as well has really, really improved. You don't often see it from. I know it's quite a poor stereotype, but the Spanish players that come in, they don't tend to have the work rate. They don't often want to track back, but he also wants to do the hard yards. He's a very much a team player. And that's really good to see from your wide players when, they're also willing to help the fullbacks out. So, yeah, Sanchez, very, very good wide player, a bit of a luxury player at times, but certainly one to look out for next season.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned it earlier, James, about the clean sheets that Birmingham have had this season, despite the struggles that you've had. And just looking at the WhoScored.com ratings there, Mark Roberts, Christian Pedersen and Harley Dean, unsurprisingly, towards the top of your ratings there. Definitely unsurprising given the low numbers of goals that you've scored this season. So, defensively and those 3 players in particular, how have they performed? How has the unit been? Has it just been the lack of goals that's been your problem?
I still think we've got issues at the back. I still think we leak a lot of silly goals. I think, to be fair, under Bowyer, other than last week's drubbing, which, like I said, I think we took our foot off the gas. We've really been very, very solid under Bowyer. So you can see the quality that these defenders have. But we still got errors that need eradicating. But yeah, we do rely heavily on them. Mark Roberts, a lot of fans player of the season. I think he will get it this season. A real towering, commanding centre back. Harley Dean, who's a bit of an up and down character with fans, captain, but you either love him or you hate him. He's like Marmite at the minute. But again, he brings a lot to the table. You know, he's actually a very quick, very versatile defender, good on the ball, comfortable, and very commanding in the air. And Christian Pedersen, a player that was linked with Watford only 12 months ago, very good left back. Again, very big, very physical, commanding, good when he gets into his stride. We've got a lot of good defenders, really. And Maxime Collin hasn't been mentioned there, him on the right-hand side as well. You know, it makes up a really nice back four. I think if we can find that consistency, I think is the key. Then it's a defence that can certainly push you up the table and get you the clean sheets needed.
Yeah, definitely. Rovers fans, this is your probably 5-minute warning to get yourself into the competition for the iFollow code for tomorrow's match. So tweet us a photo of you watching on the other side with me and James. Send that to the @RoversChat_ Twitter account, and we will announce that very shortly towards the end of the show. So this is your 5-minute warning. Get that entry in. So Rovers fans, as we always ask our guests to do on this show, I've asked James to predict his starting 11 for tomorrow. Probably difficult to predict with it being the end of the season, final game of the season, youngsters might be involved, etc., etc. But James, just talk us through that side. There's a few names there that I don't recognise, if I must admit. So let us know if you think they're going to play because it's the final game of the season and who they are and things. So talk us through that side back to front. Yeah,
so this is a team that was played last week. I tell you, it's getting a long season, and it's again, a lot of players there haven't played a lot this season. There's a lot of second string players, a lot of youth players, but it's the team that's expected to go out again tomorrow. A lot of players that he's looking to cast an eye on for next season, whether they can come into the fold, whether we need to get rid of them. But from back to front, you got Zach Ghekok in goal, a youth product, a very, very capable goalkeeper that a lot of teams have their eye on at the minute. I think he's featured for England's under-18s recently. So a real good goalkeeper who kept a clean sheet actually in the first game of the season against Brentford at home, and was unlucky to lose his place. But obviously with Neil Etheridge coming in, it was a no-brainer really. Josh 𝒑𝒂𝒔 again, another youth product, but he's been at the club now 5 or 6 years, and he's actually I think 24 or 25 now. A player that's really on his last chance saloon, good attacking right back, but really again a very inconsistent player. Mark Roberts, I expect to captain the team tomorrow. Again, a lot of fans player of the season. As I've said, from Roberts, you know what you're going to get from him. Alongside George Friend, who again a lot of fans here will know what George Friend is about. Missed the championship really at the minute. I think he's just gone onto the board of the PFA for the championship as well, which is great to see. Steve Seddon, another youth product. I'm going to use the word youth product a lot in this, but he spent a lot of the season on loan. I think he was at AFC Wimbledon before being recalled in January. A really good player actually. Seddon, I expect him, if it wasn't for Pedersen, I think he'd be first choice next season. But really good delivery on that left hand side. Preferred position is probably a left wing back, but can slot in at left back. Good left peg, quite quick, quite physical again. So expect to see a lot from him tomorrow. Across the midfield three, you got Raheem Harper, who's on loan from West Brom. I think there may be an option to buy him. Good player, just lacks that consistency. Again, it's a word that will keep coming up on this. Ivan Sunjic has been a mainstay in the team. I don't expect to see him drop out. The experience, he's 24, 25, but Croatian, probably going to anchor that midfield and allow the other two in front to sit and roam. Ryan Sturck has made his debut last week. He's a Wales under-21 international. Very capable player. Really good eye for pass. He's dominant. He's physical. He wants to get on the ball and make things happen. So I expect to see a lot from him tomorrow. And then the front three, I think a lot of Blackburn fans will know Jonathan Lecco, know what he can do. He's still only 20, believe it or not. So we expect to see a little bit more from him. We want to see that final end product, which he just hasn't had this season. Sam Cosgrove up front, brought in from Aberdeen in January. I think we paid around about £2 million for him. Hasn't really had a look in since Lecco, Hogan and 𝒂𝐻𝒔 have all been ahead of him in the pecking order, but he's certainly been bought with one eye on the future. Big lad. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3", very good in the air. Bit of a Sam Gallagher build, if I'm honest, that sort of player. But hoping that he can produce a little bit more than Sam's done in his years in the championship. And Amari Miller, probably the most exciting in the team at the minute. Young 18-year-old, come through the academy. A lot of rave reviews from the academy, and you know, with what we've produced in recent years, we tend to get excited when we hear a lot of good things. Very tricky wide player, quick, agile, and a real talent for the future. So yeah, it's a lot of youth products that will be out tomorrow, mixed in there with a sprinkling of championship experience. So it could be a very open and possibly an exciting game.
Yeah, it probably is going to be that way. And Mowbray's certainly come out in the press today, I think, and said about our side. And Dan Butterworth, for example, wasn't in the under-23s game today. So maybe we'll likewise pick a side like that, James, as well. And it'll probably be the last time that we see Corey Evans, probably Elliot Bennett, Lewis Holtby. You know, these are all players that aren't going to be at the club next season. Probably the last time we'll see Adam Armstrong. Certainly the last time we'll probably see Harvey Elliott. So Rovers' side, I think, might be a bit sentimental, probably is the right word, as we hand those players their final games for Rovers. So, yeah, I think you're right, James. I think it's going to be open and very, very unpredictable, this game tomorrow. So we will see. And then just as a final point before we go on to our score prediction and the competition announcement, James, you know, from a play-in perspective, if Birmingham were to win this game, as I said at the start of the show, you would actually finish the season above Rovers, which at one point must have just seemed really unlikely. So how do you think Blues fans are feeling about the potential to, A, finish above Rovers with the season we've had, and just finish as high as you possibly can in that bottom half placing, just given the season that you've had?
That's it. I think the key is to finish as high as possible. You know, we got a bit of a drubbing last week. Maybe it was some would say it was a mistake to put the kids out. You want to finish as high as possible. But I'm sure he want to try and do both. You know, he wants to look at the kids, but at the same time, he wants to finish as high as possible. Like I say, I don't think it's anything on Blackburn. You know, it'd be great to finish above you just simply because of where you were, maybe start of the season, first 15 games, and then where we've been for most of the season, to then swap places in the final table reckoning would be, I think, some achievement for Bowyer more than anything in the last 10. And yeah, I think we spoke in January when the game was, and I spoke about Mowbray probably needing more time, but I can start to understand the frustrations now from the fan base, you know, considering the slide you have had throughout the season. You know, if you do finish below us, I think what we said before the start of the show, an incredibly disappointing end to what looked a promising start to the season.
Definitely. And we've both been left disappointed tonight, James. Our friend Jacob has not turned up in the comments. He's not turned up for the show tonight. So I'll ask you, will Jacob be happy if Birmingham finish above Rovers? You know, who's he going to be cheering on tomorrow with that as a potential prize?
We just don't know anymore. I may pop off and ask him in a minute, to be honest. I think he's got a real soft spot for Blackburn now. He won't admit it. Like, he won't admit it to us, to his Birmingham mates. But I think he's got a real soft spot for you guys now. I think you want to see this one play out a draw, if I'm honest. I think he's one of those that will really sit on the fence and won't give you an opinion on it, to be honest. Obviously, I'd love us to just go out and really have a great end to the season. I think in his heart, he'd want us to win. In his head, I think he wants that draw.
Well, Jacob, if you are there, you've disappointed us that you've not got involved in the comments. James was ready, so you've disappointed everyone, and certainly Chris, who I can see in the comments. You know, we did want to get you on the show, Jacob, so you've let down the fans, you've let everyone down. So stay tuned tomorrow, though, Rovers fans. We may get Jacob on the show tomorrow, in all seriousness. So hopefully we can get him on there. So Rovers fans, this is the time for you to get in your score predictions for tomorrow's game. God knows how we predict this one with the sides that we're expecting out there, and with it being the final day of the season. So please load up those comments with your score predictions. Let us know how it's going to go. And I'm going to come to James first. Yeah, what is your score prediction? How do you think the game's going to go?
I saw a 6-2, I think, in the comments. Yeah. Not even surprised if it did come out something like that. I expect goals. I think Blackburn have scored a lot of goals this season. You know, considering your position, you've still scored a fair amount. If we turn up, I think we can be a dangerous side going forward. But again, as showed last week with the kids being out and rather inexperienced squad, we certainly can be quite open. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do a Jacob here. I'm gonna try and really sit on the fence here. I'm gonna go for a 2-2. I'm gonna go for goals, and I'm gonna go for a draw. I'm gonna go for a 2-2 simply because we've got decent away form this season. So yeah, that's me being a fence sitter.
You're going 2-2.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2-1 Rovers. I think that side that you put out there, I think we are still going to have some experienced championship performers in ours. You know, Holtby, Evans, Bennett. You know, these are players that might just get the one over on those players that you listed there, as they probably play their last games for Rovers. So I'm going to say 2-1 Rovers. I don't care what Tony Mowbray said in the press. He does absolutely care about winning this game, because I think for him and his future at the club and his relationship with the fans, with the greatest respect to you, James, and to Blues fans as well, we did speak about this before we came live. For Rovers to finish below Birmingham this season would be a disaster, an absolute disaster for Rovers. And I think it'll be right there in the league placing if Rovers were to come below Birmingham. So make no mistake, Tony Mowbray cares about this game, and I'm expecting Rovers to get a 2-1 win. That's what I'm going to say there. So I'm just going to look. Going to look in the comments and see what people have predicted. Chris, yeah, you picked it out, James, didn't you? I'm going for 6-2 Rovers. Armour with all of them championship top scorer. Oh, just imagine how mad Ivan Toney would be if that actually happened. Ben has gone 6-2 Rovers as well. Kevin, confident will be open for both, so 4-2 Rovers. Yeah, we've had high scoring on the final day at Ewood before. I think we've had a 4-3 against Reading before. I think we've had a 4-3 against Wigan before as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rovers fans. We've certainly had some high scoring ones on the final day. Scotty's gone 3-2 Rovers, Armour 2 and Elliot 1. David has gone 2-2, fairly open game, I think. Armour and Galley with the Rovers goals. And then Mark Whittle has gone 3-2 Rovers. So, yeah, some confidence in the Rovers fan base there. Probably as a result of your side, James, if I must admit, because I think you are in good form at the moment. And I think without seeing that side, maybe I would have thought a draw myself. But I think we can probably just sneak it with that side that you've said. And Alexander Haben has gone 3-2 Rovers there. So before we finish then, I did promise the iFollow competition, and we do have a winner. Here it is. We can just see that. It's Chris, Wegley's Wiggle. There he is tweeting, going to miss those Friday night treats, watching me on the other side with all the opposition fans. So Chris, you have won that iFollow code. Thanks a lot, mate, for your support this season. You've been a very loyal supporter of the channel all season. Send a DM to Dan on the Rovers Chat Twitter account, and we'll get that iFollow code across to you. Rovers fans, there are further opportunities to win iFollow codes tomorrow. We've got 2 to give away for the watch-along. So join us at 12. We'll announce that really quickly. So get yourself involved. Get on the stream at 12 o'clock. We'll get all of that announced. So you've got that code ready and paid for, ready for kickoff at 12:30 tomorrow. So look out for that. Join us on the watch along, and we'll be giving a further iFollow code away as well. So look out for that, and we will get those given away tomorrow. James, I just want to thank you for your insight on Birmingham City, and yeah, wish you well for the game tomorrow, and obviously hopefully we'll speak to you next season as well. If we do all of this again, hopefully we are in stadiums next season though, and this is the only kind of virtual streaming that we do. Hopefully we're all back at the game. But no, thank you for giving up your time on this Friday evening. That's okay, mate. Anytime, and look forward to next season. Brilliant. Thanks, James. Rovers fans, just a few reminders. As I say, last week we did announce that we are going to be partnering up with Sporting Minds UK next season as our charitable cause. And we did the stream last week with the 3 ex-Rovers players, Marcus Bent being one of them. We are hoping to get Marcus Bent involved with some of the stuff that we're going to do next season with Sporting Minds UK. So look out for that. As I say, look out for the iFollow competitions. There are still some more out there. So check out Joe's Rovers Analytics account. Check out the Rovers Chat Twitter account to get those iFollow codes for tomorrow's game. And before I finish, I'll say bye to James. I'll say bye to the Rovers fans. And I'll leave you with our sponsor messages from Blue Rose Capital and from 6yardsout.com. See you later, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. See you later. Cheers, James. Thanks. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝒐𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒓𝒔 They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.